United have lost 2-0 to Arsenal. 9 away wins in a row. Gone. 4th place gone. And we won't be blaming the wind, though. We won't be blaming the wind. We will be having a pop at the referee. I'll tell you what. It's a long time since we've spoken about referees. But he is a joke. I tell you what. He is a joke. He is absolutely terrible as a referee. The amount of corners we had. I thought there was a handball at the end that Sky didn't seem to want to play back on Martial as well. It clearly wasn't a penalty. He's guessed. I mean, from his view, maybe it looks like a penalty, but you're guessing. You need to get on a treadmill, mate. You need to get down Specsavers. You look way too old. You've not got the body for a Premier League referee, and you clearly haven't got the ability. And you deserve all the criticism you're going to get, because ultimately, I think you cost United at least a point today. But, I just want to say, because I'm sure we're going to have a few visitors who are Arsenal fans, and I'm sure a certain person in a hat will be over here trying to gloat. And all I'm going to say is this. This is how you deal with defeat. You don't start swearing. You don't start moaning. You don't start saying you're going to smash some opposition players' legs. You take it on the chin. You say, this is the game that we love. And that just wasn't our day. That's football. We lost the game and we move on and we go again. I cannot criticise Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics. I cannot say we were outclassed by Arsenal because we weren't. I cannot say Arsenal really deserved to win. But they did win. The score and the history books will say 2-0. They get the 3 points. I've got no issue with that. I can't argue with that. It's called humility in defeat. At some point it was going to happen. We've had an amazing run over the last 3 months. I've absolutely loved it. And we had an amazing night on Wednesday night. We are 3 points off 3rd place. We are 2 points off 4th place. We're in a very, very good position. We were in a nightmare position in December. And in some ways, I think that this result is not one we wanted. But in another way, it's not a bad thing that it happens. Because again, a bit like the PSG loss, this is better than the PSG loss because we lost a game that we never should have lost. We never should have lost that game. De Gea makes a stupid mistake, but we let him off because he's been a brilliant servant over the last 5 years. But he never should have let that in. And at a point when it's 1-0 and we're all over them, we're absolutely all over them, they go and get a lucky penalty. Now, it is a lucky penalty because it's not a penalty. But even if it was a penalty, it's still lucky because of the context of the second half. We're all over them. They go on one attack and they get a penalty. I saw Mesut Ozil stand on the bench with 15 minutes to go. Hadn't even realised he'd gone off the pitch because I hadn't even realised he was on the pitch. I thought Arsenal were poor, really, really poor today. Defensively, they were quite good, but I thought Arsenal were poor. So, I joked with Robbie, didn't I? I said, look, Man City lost against Newcastle. And I felt it was a bit like that today. We were Man City, the better team, but Newcastle with the home advantage, with a ref on their side, and, got the rub of the green and won the game. Got to take it on the chin. Got to take the L. Just got to say that this is why we love the game of football, because if every football game was fair, then we wouldn't have lost that game. But that's the beauty of football. Results can happen. We can walk away from football games and go, that just wasn't our day. And it wasn't. What I would say, and the one thing I'm going to be critical about, is Lukaku. I've took a lot of stick over the last couple of weeks. I've given Lukaku a lot of credit over the last couple of weeks. But I've always said, you don't win titles with Romelu Lukaku in your team. 1 goal against the top 6 teams in 17 games. He should have had a hat-trick today. Not even could have had a hat-trick. He should have had a hat-trick. At 0-0, missed an absolute sitter. In the second half, I think he missed another 2 sitters. Missed too many chances today. And we always say Lukaku sometimes need 5 chances to score 3 goals. He had 5 chances today and he didn't score any. And we needed him. We needed him to score a goal today. And he's been brilliant over the last 2 weeks. But he seems to have this mental block of scoring goals against the top 6 sides. The amazing thing about Lukaku today was his hold-up play was actually very, very good. But his finishing is suspect, and he cost us today. I don't want to blame the ref, though. I don't want to blame the ref because I think that at the end of the day, United today, it just seemed to all fall apart in the final third. I thought Rashford had a bad game, and I love Rashford. Lukaku's finishing was off. Rashford had a bad game. Even Pogba and Dalot and Shaw and Fred, when they got near the penalty box, it just all fell apart. We had some really good build-up play. We were carving Arsenal apart from the defensive through the defensive and midfield stage, but in the final third, it just didn't work for us today. And Leno had a good game for Arsenal as well. But it is just one of those days. It's one of those days. I don't like it. The fact that Xhaka scored, I don't like him. I don't like the fact that it's Arsenal that we've lost to. But this is why I love this sport. This is why I love this game, because things won't always go the way you want to go. And I tell you what, I've got to relate it to the PSG game and say, look, against PSG, we went there as underdogs. We were underdogs. We scrapped and we got the impossible dream, didn't we? We got a penalty that some people think wasn't a penalty. Oh, what happens a few days later? We concede a penalty that some people think wasn't a penalty. So you've got to say, look, I think the ref cost us a point, at least. I think if he doesn't give that penalty, we were always going to score at 1-0 eventually. But if it went 2-0 to Arsenal, they were going to win the game, and they did. The ref had a bad game. He had a really, really bad game. But we had a decision go for us on Wednesday night. This is football. This is the way it's going to be. I think that we've had a brilliant run. And today will not mean we're out of the top 4 race. I said this on Friday night. I think if we beat Arsenal, Arsenal are in trouble. But us losing, we can still get top 4. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to beat Chelsea. We're going to have to beat Man City at our place. It's a good result for Liverpool. It's a good result for Spurs. It's a good result for Chelsea. It's a fantastic result for Arsenal because it puts it in their hands. But look, at the end of the day, it's one of those, isn't it? These results are going to happen. You just got to take it on the chin. Now, my man of the match. I thought Luke Shaw was fantastic today. Again, I thought Lindelof was good. But I'm going to give it to Chris Smalling. I thought Smalling was fantastic today. Did nothing wrong. Didn't put a foot wrong all game. Acted like a leader. I thought it was fantastic. So smash a like on the video if Chris Smalling was your man of the match. I thought he was superb. But De Gea made a mistake against Arsenal last time, didn't he? At Old Trafford. De Gea had nothing to do today, and he's picked the ball out of his net twice. A penalty, which I never fancied De Gea on penalties. And the mistake from De Gea on the first goal. You can't give teams 1-0 leads at this level. The referee was a home banker today. He banked on the home team and he went with it. And he went with it all game. The amount of corners we had that he didn't give. The penalty that wasn't a penalty. But what are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and rant and moan about a referee that's cost us? Or are we just going to go, you know what, we go again. It's a few weeks till the Premier League game for us now. But we just got to dust ourselves off. We've been on a fantastic run. 9 away wins in a row. He's won every single away game till today. Unbeaten in the league. It's disappointing. Of course it's very disappointing, but I think we just take it on the chin. I'd be very disappointed if there are United fans ranting or moaning about, this proves Ollie's not the right man. Tactically, we were the better team today. We created the better chances. We played the better football. Arsenal just smashed and grabbed it, really. And I'm not taking anything away from them because they won 2-0 and they got the 3 points. But we weren't bad today. We were just poor in the final third. And we should have scored some of the chances that we had. It's a fantastic result for Arsenal. It's a shit result for us. But there's not an individual. Well, Lukaku should have scored more. Rashford was disappointing. But Lukaku scored 6 goals for us in the last 3 games. Are we really going to beat him up that much? The only thing I would say about Lukaku is I don't think he's good enough. For a top flight striker, I don't think he's good enough. 1 goal in 17 games against the top 6 isn't good enough. And today proves what happens for him in the big games. You've got to score in the big games. And I think he's a flat track bully, Lukaku. That's why he gets 30 goals a season. But in the big games, when you need him, where was he today? And he didn't step up. But as I said, over the last few games, he's been so good. I don't think you can be that negative about it. Disappointed. Sure, definitely disappointed. Leaves is a bit uncertain. Let's be honest, it leaves us a bit uncertain. We've been on Ollie at the wheel. We've been on this great run for so long. And I think a kick in the nuts every now and again is a good thing. I want Ollie to be tested. He still hasn't got the job. I think he will get the job. I think he should get the job. But how we react to this is going to be very important. So, Wolves away next. International break. Get a few players back. Fred first half wasn't fantastic. Fred second half I thought was brilliant. Defensively, we're all over the place as Andrew Gary. Look, You'll see. Incoming Pratt in the hat. Look, if he wants to claim a win over me personally because Arsenal win a game of football, that's up to him. I beat him at football. I put him in my pocket on a game of football. But as I said, when we beat them at their place, he starts swearing and stuff like that. I ain't going to do that because I understand football. I understand that sometimes you've got to lose. Sometimes you've got to take it on the chin. Sometimes you've got to be humble. I personally think Arsenal fans will be very happy, and in the back of their mind, I think they'll know that they got away with it today. They weren't the better team. It wasn't a penalty, and De Gea made a mistake he should never make. I think that game was a draw all over. I think United probably should have won it, but at best it was a draw. We never should have lost that game of football, but we did. And we'll take it on the chin. I'm going to do the player ratings in a minute. All the Arsenal fans are rejoicing because of our 2 mistakes, but I still think we can make the top 3 this season with Spurs playing so poorly. I think Arsenal have got a great chance of top 4 now. Their running is very good. But I don't think... I said before the game, we're not out of the race for top 4. Of course we're not. We're not out of this race for top 4. I think people will use this as an excuse to go in on us, but we're not out of the race for top 4 at all. Let's have a look at the player ratings then. I mean, I'm going to be truthful because I think we should have got a draw out of the game. I think the referee was a big factor in why we didn't, but I'm going to be truthful in my player ratings because otherwise what's the bloody point? But my player ratings are going to be as such. I'm going to give De Gea a 5. I never thought I would give him lower than a 6, but I'm going to give De Gea a 5 because the goalkeeping error cost us. In a big game like this, everybody's got to be on it, and it's a terrible mistake by him. Ashley Young, I'm going to give a 7. I thought Ashley Young played quite well today, and I'm always critical of Young, but I think today he played very well. Smalling, good. Lindelof was average today. I think he looked off for the first time in weeks. I think Lindelof looked off. Luke Shaw, I give him a 7 as well. Thought he played very well. Matic, definitely a 5. Really poor from Matic. Let's let him off a bit because obviously he's come back from injury. Slow, lethargic, not up to pace with the game. Fred, I'd have given him a 4 for the first half. Second half, I'd have given him an 8. So I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he was really good in the second half. So unfortunate that he's involved in the penalty because it wasn't. Pogba 6. Some good bits, but for his level, I would have expected Pogba to do a little bit better. Rashford a 5. I mean, the funny thing is, I'm marking low players that are my favourite players a lot of the time. Rashford, De Gea, but it just shows that you've got to be honest, and I didn't think they were up for it today. Delot, probably a 6, didn't get into the game enough as far as I was concerned. And again, Lukaku's got to get a 5, maybe even a 4. The chances, I mean, to be honest with you, probably a 4. Probably a 4 for Lukaku. His build-up play was okay. His hold-up play was okay. But his finishing, you've got to score those chances. In big games like this, you've got to give De Gea and Lukaku the same score. So if you give De Gea a 4, you've got to give Lukaku a 4. If you give De Gea a 5, you've got to give Lukaku a 5. Because it was the same thing. De Gea cost us at one end, Lukaku cost us at the other. And the referee cost us as well. It was a hat-trick. Referee, De Gea, Lukaku. That's why we've lost that game. It's just unfortunate. And it happens. It happens, I'm afraid. It does. De Gea, 3. He's terrible lately, says Marco. Maybe there's something about De Gea's contract, Some people were talking about that on the watch-along. Maybe there's something in the contract because I didn't think De Gea looked amazing in the game against PSG. But he's such a good player. But today, he was off. We were emotionally affected by the massive win against PSG. That's why we lost. However, let's move on. That's football. We are United, says TJ Sherman. Yeah, you know what? I agree with the move on thing, but I don't agree with the PSG thing. I don't agree with that. I think if you watch that game back, we played really well. We carved Arsenal open a lot more than they did us. When you look at the stats, I think Arsenal had the same amount of shots as us, the same amount of shots on target. And if people want to throw that up and say it was an equal game, all right, we'll have a draw. But actually, I think United were the better footballing team. I think United had far better chances. We just didn't score them. And Arsenal got the result, that's fine. You deserved it, whatever. However you want to twist it, you won anyway. So we've got to accept that. But I don't accept that United got it wrong tactically. I don't accept that we were lethargic because of PSG. I just think we missed our chances and we made mistakes. De Gea made a ridiculous mistake. The referee made a stupid mistake. And Lukaku missed a lot of chances. And on another day, Lukaku scores 2 of those 5 good chances he has. De Gea doesn't make the mistake. The referee doesn't give the penalty. We probably win 2-0. The referee still makes the mistake. De Gea still makes the mistake. But Lukaku scores his goals. We draw 2-2. It's just an unfortunate hat-trick of errors that have cost us that game. Because I think United did enough to get something from that game. I don't think we played as well as we have done. But we certainly did enough to get something from the game. It wasn't a bad performance. Tactically, I don't think we got anything wrong. People wanted Martial to come on, but then Martial looked rusty because he's been out for a while, like Matic did. I can see why Martial didn't start the game. He looked very rusty. Matic looked very rusty. And it's all right going, yeah, they're back, but there's a difference between being back and being match fit. And I don't think a lot of them were actually match fit. But they will be over the coming weeks, and we've got an amazingly difficult April to come forward, and we might not get top 4, we might not win the Champions League, and we might not win the FA Cup. We've got a lot of games in April, and we're going to have to go back on a run in April. And you've got to remember where we came from as well. Where we've come from was we had no right to be in a top 4 race, and we're still in a top 4 race. We had no real expectations that we were going to beat PSG, and we beat PSG. We're in a quarter-final of an FA Cup. We're in a really good position. But today is disappointing. William Smith, Mason looked like he's been playing first team for years. I'd have him over Lukaku any day. So exciting to see him, a 17-year-old like that. I tell you what, I wish I'd said that a lot earlier. Smash a like on the video for Mason Greenwood, because he looked... we didn't see enough of him against Juventus, but in the cameo he had tonight, physically, he looks ready to play Premier League football. He needs to play more Premier League football. Sharath Kamath Finnis, I thought Greenwood was really good. He should be a contender for right winger. He reminds me of Mahrez. Yep. I'm just watching the penalty again. There's no contact. There's no contact because Lacazette actually continues his run. It's not a penalty. I think the worst thing about the penalty is it probably looks like a penalty from where John Moss is. But he should still see... Bollock. It's just one of those. TJ Sherman, we were emotionally... Yeah, I've read that one. De Gea never saves penalties. I'm never confident as Hasman12. I agree. All the Arsenal fans are rejoicing. Yeah. Fred had a shocker, says Thogden. I agree. I disagree with Thogden. I thought Fred was poor second half, but first half. Second half, he was good. Smalling, brilliant. Fred, man of the match in the second half, says Queen in the North. Ask the all-honest Robbie about Lacazette's dive, says Summit. Oh, he'll change his mind. He changes it like the bloody weather. He's an Arsenal fan. DT already saying you're in his pocket. Rare W, says Henry Ellis. Where was the French Henderson today? Big L, says the analyst. Philip Burtonwood, what way does that leave our top 4 chances, Mark, in your opinion? We're 3 points off third, so and Spurs have got to go to Liverpool and Man City, so and we've got to play Chelsea at home. I think Arsenal have got a great chance of top 4. Maybe they're favourites for top 4 now, but the next spot, we can get that. Not even as sad as I was against Burnley, because we actually played really well. I think it was one of our better games, but we didn't capitalise, says Queen in the North. Adrian Gorchia, the result doesn't tarnish the performances we've put on for the past 2 months. On to the next one. Glory, glory, Manchester United. What's important now is the reaction. Shocking ref, says Steve Chow. Ed Woodward, our squad and manager, are 100% good enough to win multiple quadruples and no reinforcement is needed. This result is on the ref and Mourinho and not the way our club is run. Woody is at the wheel. Love United. Love Glazer. Queen in the North, Rashford has been missing chances since the Newcastle game and it was too good to be true with Lukaku. And LaRusso says DTU's wife restarting our unbeaten run. And Ali Jabbar, the referee and Arsenal are going to McDonald's now. And Queen in the North, Ollie got his tactics right today. You can't blame him for Rashford and Lukaku leaving their finishing skills up in Manchester. Very, very, very good point. I think that's what it came down to today. Just a poor referee, a poor mistake by De Gea, and poor finishing from Manchester United. And if you go and play somebody away from home with those sort of stats, you're going to lose a game of football. Am I disappointed? Look, I am disappointed. Am I ranting? No. It's just that's football. And I think you've just got to take it on the chin sometimes. You've got to take it on the chin. We have got the fan cams incoming. Smash a like on the video, please, everybody, because we're going to get the bitter bastard Arsenal fans coming on. Even though they've had a very good result and they should be very happy with it, they'll still be here trying to wind us up because that's the measure of those football fans. So smash a like if you're United. Smash a like if you are still Ole Gunnar's Solskjaer's army, because we all are. We'll go again. That's what we do. Sometimes you lose games of football. That's what happens in life. Hang about for the fan cams. They're going to be very interesting. I'm sure we're going to get a few of. They'll all be coming out. They'll all queue up now. They never want to come on when we beat them, but they'll all be queuing up from AFTV to come on tonight. So you can watch out for those. Just one of those days. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. Take it on the chin. That's all we can do. Be humble in defeat. That's one thing we do have about our club.